correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome to Me and Steve Talk RPGs, a podcast where me and my friend Steve try and help you get the most out of your role-playing game experience. Hey folks, welcome back to Me and Steve Talk RPGs. I'm Steve, and over there is Steve.
Hello.
And we've got a guest this week, but before we get to all that, Steve, what's our podcast of the week this week? Did I tell you?
No, I don't think you did.
Oh, I didn't. Well, then that would explain why you don't know.
I'm like, I could name one.
So there's two choices for role-playing things that you and I really connected on when we first met. One we talk about all the time, one we talk about a little bit less.
I've drawn a blank.
Cyberpunk is one of them. What's the other one?
Call of Cthulhu?
No.
Oh.
More basic. Sort of.
Genesis?
E. B.
Eberron Renewed?
Yes. Eberron Renewed.
I'm trying.
Yep. Eberron Renewed is another podcast here on the D20 Radio Network. And it's an actual play podcast focused around, the world of Eberron. Who would have guessed? The first campaign they did was a giant, globe-hopping thing in 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, and their second campaign, which I think they may be getting close to wrapping up. I don't know. I'm not quite exactly current on it, in all honesty, listening. But they converted to the Genesis rule system, and they have indicated that they are going to use a, last I knew, as of yet unannounced, some other system for campaign 3 whenever that occurs. But Eric and crew are really cool people. We got to meet most of the cast when we were at Gamer Nation Con. Really cool people, really good stuff. So you can check out Eberron Renewed pretty much anywhere you find podcasts, and of course there'll be a link to their feed page or web page or whichever sort of thing I can find in the show notes.
Yeah, very cool.
Yep. So with all that being said, within the last few weeks there was some sort of big gaming event out in the middle of the country.
Yeah, I never heard of it.
And yeah, you and I didn't get to go because life, etc. But seems like, there's probably some news and stuff. So I got a hold of someone who did go and happens to write for a bunch of different websites and so on and so forth. And also is a former guest, returning. So welcome to the show, Egg Embry.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, always a fun time. So yeah, rumor has it that you were at some little gaming festival somewhere out in the middle of the country recently.
So I only attend the most indie gaming conventions there are. And since I only do the most indie, I went to Indianapolis, GenCon.
The sad part is I remember when GenCon was a small indie festival or indie convention.
I knew of it when it was. That's the most I can say, because geographically, when it was actually a small indie convention, it was so far away from where I live, it was never a thought.
Yeah.
Well, what originally was up in Lake Geneva, wasn't it?
Indeed. We're looking at going to GaryCon next year, coming from Georgia to get to GaryCon, and it's just a 14-hour nonstop car ride. This is no problem. No problem.
Well, that's us driving. We're going to drive to Texas next year for Gamer Nation Con, and we're like, what is it, 16 hours? That'll be fun.
I think it's about a 4-hour flight. That actually wasn't that bad.
No, it's not terrible. But so I've had lots of friends go to Gen Con. I've heard good things. What were the highlights for you this year?
So Gen Con's always a good time. It is you and this year over 70,000 of your closest friends. So for those that have never been, it's in downtown Indianapolis. They have a gigantic convention center that happens to sit next to the Lucas Oil football stadium. And you're in both of those, plus in a bunch of hotels. So while it's 70,000 people, you're generally not crushed in together unless you went this year for the Lorcana cards, in which case you were in a line, and that's an entirely different podcast. You'll hear about that?
Are you talking the magic card, the palette of magic cards that got stolen?
No, this is so Arcana is a tradable card game that is just debuting. It debuted before, but it really hit the market in a wide way at GenCon. It basically takes Disney's characters and puts them into a card game, and demand for it is unprecedented since the Legends dropped for Magic the Gathering. Like, it's big, and while we were there, I'm into RPGs, so it did not affect my convention. But if you were there for Lorcana, it was amazing to see the lines. A lot of people.
Yeah, that game looks awesome. I'm scared of their pricing structure, but that's a different podcast and a different topic.
Indeed. So getting back on topic, and I apologize, that was the big thing that was going on sort of adjacent to the convention. But the convention itself, it's a good time. Try to get there on Wednesday. It starts Thursday, runs through Sunday, and it's just about connecting with all the people that I can at the convention. And there's no way to talk to all the people that you know. It's too many. And then playing a bunch of fun games.
Cool. I know it's also traditionally a place where a lot of games get announced or released.
Indeed.
And, which, given the journalistic side of what you do, I'm sure is also useful for you.
It is for learning about the new games. Even if I were just there strictly for that, trying to check out all the new games, it would be a hard time to do it all. It's the most fun you can have in gaming in 4 days, but it's also the busiest 4 days of gaming. It's just a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've thought about going out at some point. I actually have a family member that lives in the greater Indianapolis area. But now with the cards, though, I thought for a minute there, I remember seeing something on Facebook about someone stealing a pallet of magic cards.
Yeah, they stole like $30,000 in Magic.
No, I thought it was like 300,000.
Oh, was it? Maybe it was higher than what I had heard, but
having been to downtown Indianapolis, it's very flat. And I thought if that had happened at a convention in Pittsburgh, there'd have been no controversy. You'd have just gone outside, looked for the guy pinned to the guardrail on the far side of the parking lot by the pallet jack that pushed him down the hill, and that'd been the end of it.
Amen to that.
See, have conventions in safer places like Pittsburgh, so you can't have things stolen, rolled out of the building.
I will say this, that like Indianapolis, on there many, many times, very, very safe town. I've read about the people that have actually committed the crime and where they're from, and it is nowhere near Indianapolis.
Oh, no, I was more making a joke about the geography of where we live than anything else.
I'm following you on that. Like, Atlanta's hilly as well. Indianapolis, like, it's corn country. It's flat. Those are smooth walks. That's what I can say about that place.
Oh, my. So, I don't know. Where do you start with what all went on there? I know, I've seen bits and pieces. I know Free League cleaned up at the Ennies.
Yes. Well deserved.
Whole bunch of golds,
as they do.
Mm-hmm.
But
let me talk to
what.
Go
ahead. No, I was just going to ask, like, kind of what caught your attention. What things
So
were
for me. This part is hard for what catches my attention, because going into the convention, a lot of the things have already been spoiled for me, right? Because I'm part of the very small group of journalism. People reach out before the convention to set up meetings, share a lot of stuff. So when I get to the convention, I kind of know some of the stuff that's there, and then other things are surprises. And the things I'm most interested in finding out about, I'm like, oh, that would have been by my announcement of the show that I wasn't aware of prior. But just a lot happens, and a lot of games are announced. I've found that generally I do better just going in, sort of absorbing what's there, coming back and taking the connections that I have, and spending the next 3 months, 6 months talking to people about the products that are actually going to come out. Because while it was announced at the show, where I come in journalistically is typically when they're kickstarting or crowdfunding it. So it was announced there, but they don't crowdfund it till next quarter, next year, and that's when I'm going to be more interested in it, at least for what I write.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Or while I'm there, it's just about talking with the different creators. This year was eye-opening. Okay, so like they set a new attendance record, right? So I was there in 2019, which was their last attendance high. Then obviously COVID knocks it down, and they're back to a new high. And this was the year that like my eyes were open to the fact that I take a very lackadaisical approach to the conventions because they're pretty easy to go and meet everybody that you want to meet. Maybe you can't meet one or two people that you needed to, but there's so many people there you're going to meet enough and felt like you did everything you need to from my perspective. This was the year that things really needed to be scheduled. There were so many people and so many meetings. I talked to some folks, but I missed so many others.
Do you think that's a function of it being like the comeback from COVID, where everyone is, oh, wait, yeah, I haven't gotten to talk to this person in 3 years, so to speak, that being a very widespread scenario?
I think that is definitely a contributor. I feel that we're hitting this new era where we're running into more and more creators in tabletop RPG that this is their sole profession. When I first started, which was only 6, 7, 8 years ago, right? In terms of doing the journalism part,
Mm-hmm.
the number of people that this was the only job they did, I mean, it was in the dozens. I talked to the big people in the industry at that point. Everyone else had a day job. And now we're running into, it's somewhere in the hundreds, I believe. And while that's not an outrageous number, that's still a huge improvement. And we're also seeing a lot more, like, 6, 7, 8 years ago, drive-through RPG was about the only job that's kind of outside of core role-playing. You had someone that was making a living, and you had a number of people that were making a living through drive-through, right? Now you've got a lot of different outfits that are making a real living. People were talking about the fact that when I'd run into them, like, oh, I just came from a meeting with Roll20, I just came from a meeting with this group or that group or this company or setting up this. And we're seeing a lot more of those connections, or at least I'm seeing a lot more of those connections happening at the show. So people that are running the companies, they're not manning the booths like they used to because they have so many meetings while they're there. And this is all great news, right? You're seeing all these different groups that are really coming into their own, and they're able to be out there and actually make deals, which makes the company bigger, right? Which allows them to pay better rates, which allows them to hire more people, which eventually leads to more creators that RPG becomes their full-time job. That's my take on that part of it.
Just to follow down that road for a bit, is that perhaps, I think we saw over the course of the pandemic kind of a increase in what was being turned out in some cases because everyone's all staying in the house, so why not create stuff? And then also you had, in some cases, people had to, we all had to stay home, so we have to do something with our time. So are we playing more games? Thus, like obviously, Roll20, all the VTT people saw a huge uptick in the use of their products. Like, is it kind of just that whole kind of surge kind of carrying forward, or is it a bigger force, do you think?
I think it's the surge carrying forward. I think that now, again, Critical Role, right? Used to just be Critical Role. And, now you got Critical Role, their spin-off shows, Dimension 20, and I just blanked on the other 3 or 4, but, like there's now a number of actual plays that's just what they do. We're seeing that as a growing industry. You can go into the toy store and buy Dungeons and Dragons action figures. You can go into the comic book store, and obviously there's always been some degree of RPG comics, but right now IDW is putting out Dungeons and Dragons comics. Dynamite Entertainment's doing a Pathfinder and Starfinder comic, Starfinder being new this year. Dynamite Entertainment's also kickstarting right now Fire and Ice, the animated movie from 1983 or something like that. They're turning it into a miniatures game. They've turned it into a comic. And with the miniatures game, it's going to include RPG rules. But we're seeing, an expansion, right? More things are becoming RPGs. It's of bigger interest to different companies and different groups. So I feel that is driving the whole industry. We're seeing more industry interest because there's more fans. 70,000 plus people went to Indianapolis. Which is a lot. It's a lot. And I believe that the UK convention, UK Games Expo, I think I don't know if they set a record this year. I think that they weren't, if they didn't, they weren't far below where they were pre-pandemic. But there's still just a lot of interest in RPG, and I don't think it's just a pent up from the pandemic, because I feel that a lot of instances people would have gotten their fill of it, right? I feel instead what happened is people played, found out they liked it, and post-pandemic, this is still a part of what they like.
It makes sense. I mean, I think, a lot of, I think probably Critical Role and the other stream shows have done a bit to kind of normalize it, if you will, to where it's not quite, the nerdy kids in the basement, stigma that it had for a long time. I mean, it's nerdy adults a lot of times in the basement, but
I am the nerdiest.
But it's, I think it's, and plus you're seeing, with Critical Role, and then you have, stuff like some of, Vin Diesel, Joe Manganiello, and some of the stuff he's done, with some of the people he plays with, that, it's like Tom Morello and Big Show, and it's like, okay, it just names you weren't expecting. And so I think that's probably, contributed a little bit to that growth. But so, I mean, I don't know, I guess aside from just lots and lots of gaming and fun, were there any really big stories that broke at GenCon this year? I don't recall catching any in surfing various social medias, but
in terms of big stories, stories from GenCon were overshadowed by the Lorcana and the theft. In terms of RPG stories, I think I'm gonna share a couple of things that they weren't huge, but I feel they're game changers.
Mm-hmm.
World of Game Design. It is a company that I'm seeing a lot from. World of Game Design isn't so much they publish stuff, but they're taking a new approach to tabletop gaming. I come from comic books, right? Comic book conventions are everywhere. Generally speaking, most of the companies that, like if you're a mid-sized comic book publisher, you probably have a dedicated team of people that all they do is they just roll the roads constantly, going from convention to convention to convention, selling your wares. You basically have a team that does that if you're a mid-size. If you're bigger than mid-size, you don't bother going. If you're too small, you go to a couple. But there's enough comic conventions that you could basically have a team that's what they do. Get over to gaming convention, not so much, right? So there's not enough gaming conventions of size for everyone to go to. World of Game Design stepped in and filled in some of that space by offering a couple of services, which I think are going to start changing some things. One, World of Game Design will come in and set up a booth for you. Like, you'll agree to sign with them. They'll have your booth set up. They'll even have some people there to help you with the booth, right? To help run it. So that all you're doing is coming in and making your pitches. They've got your product in that booth and all that stuff. That's a game changer for a lot of publishers that, literally they're only going to go to like 3 conventions a year, right? And if you're going to 3 conventions a year and you're still a sort of mid-sized publisher, this saves you from having to spend literally 2, 3, 4 months worth of your time trying to get this all set up. Some company will take care of it. They'll take a percentage. You'll still get to go to the conventions. So I think that's game changer number 1 that came out of this convention. Game changer number 2 is the gaming itself. World of Game Design will set up, have it to where if you sign with them, they'll get GMs in to run your games, right? There's so many awesome games out there. Free League, as you know, cleaned up at the ENnie Awards, as y'all mentioned earlier, right? They don't tend to have a huge number of games played at GenCon. GenCon. And it's always been a shame, right? It's like, oh, you've got really cool games, but like there's 2 or 3 sessions of each of them. They've signed with World of Game Design, and this year they had a lot of sessions. So, they dropped Dragonbane, which just came out today as we're recording this. And that game is awesome, but also that game had a big presence at the convention. They had the Blade Runner game, and they had a big presence at the convention. They had their specific room at the convention, and they were running demos constantly of both those games. So, not to say that Free League wasn't doing what they should. They absolutely did what they could, but obviously being based out of Sweden, it makes some things difficult. Whereas now, between their guy Doug, who is their staff member on the ground, who coordinates all their conventions, working with World of Game Design, and at least Hey, let me just say this. I am speaking out of school or out of sorts in that I'm not 100% certain whether it was World of Game Design or Doug and that team. I believe they worked together. I could be wrong. Not on the inside. Just know that I'm seeing a lot of this kind of stuff. So if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. But I believe they were working together to have a big presence. And it made it where a lot of people that have been enjoying their games weren't just able to buy them, they were to go play them, which leads to more sales at the convention. Because the number one thing that came out of this convention, and the main story I would say, is, man, by Saturday, I was talking to publishers. They're like, we don't got a lot of product left, or we got another day to go. Now, that's awesome news. So,
Yeah.
I talked to Cubicle 7, Saturday rolls around. They still had stuff, don't get me wrong, but I mean, stuff was selling out like crazy for them at the same time. You're looking at like, okay, so you had a huge number of things, then small number of things. Walked past a guy that was selling dice, right? And we went past on Thursday. He had 200 box sets of dice, right? These weren't the cheap kind of dice, basically $100, $200 for a single set of dice. Super nice, all that kind of stuff, right? He came by on Saturday, went past his booth. He had 200 to 2. So he was pretty happy.
I would imagine.
I spoke with Free League, and they were selling out of stuff. And it wasn't like people were bringing small amounts. All the companies had huge amounts of merchandise, but it was not sticking around because this was a convention where people did show up to buy, and enough people showed up. This was in spite of the fact that people were there buying Lorcana and the other new offerings.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, in terms of things that I saw, seeing a better setup for the mid-tier publishers to where they could interact with fans by having a booth that's been set up for them, by having gaming that is available, having GMs, having all that arranged for them, and then also being able to sell out of their product. If we had more Gen Cons, PAX Unplugged, and the like per year, it would make a big difference in tabletop gaming. I thought it was a great convention for that.
You're right. The gaming conventions, like, there's a lot of the little ones, and by little, I mean, like, few thousand people.
Mhm.
But, like, for a publisher, if they don't have a representative local, that's probably a pretty significant investment for them to, send someone on a flight or a many-hour drive. And so you have to, get table space and everything else. So yeah, I guess like you said, this, would you call it, World of Game Design?
Yeah.
It's kind of offering this setup service. Sounds like a thing that really could take a load off of them. And from what you're saying, it almost sounds like they work kind of on a commission level. So it's, they're taking some of the risk, I'm guessing.
Yes.
But that is a significant thing, I would think. All right, so I got a question from one of our Patreon supporters that kind of ties into a little bit of what you were just saying, but they wanted to know, what was the favorite, like, little hidden gem that you found this year?
So I would say that it had already come out, but it was my first chance to play it. I'd read it. I knew that I was going to enjoy it. I have a friend, right? And you know how you have that buddy that there's like one kind of genre or subgenre that they're just going to love every time, no matter how bad it is? You can give me basically any sword and sorcery movie or TV show, and no matter how bad it is, I'll be like, well, Carl liked it. Okay? No matter how bad. Okay? I have a buddy, okay? And he loves time travel. It won't take you but half a second to name the worst time travel story you've ever seen, where you're like, the plot holes were big enough that you could back a truck through them. You got 10 of them right at the top of your deck, to where you're like, oh yeah, the time travel, it's either good or it doesn't work, but no matter how bad it is, he loves it. Okay? So we got a chance to play Monty Cook Games, Stealing Stories for the Devil. Monty recently kickstarted it. It did really well. The game came out. It's a very interesting game. So you are from the super far future, and you have gone way back in time. You have finally found out that, you know what, I'm ready to go home. So you're headed back to the future, right? And you arrive about now, which is not the far future, and you find out that you can't go any further forward because there's things that are out of whack in now. And you got to go fix them, right? So in the game, because you're so far from the future that any significantly advanced technology will look like magic, you have abilities that no one would have, and your abilities are the ability to lie. Okay, so you can lie to people, and whatever you lie about, they will believe. You can lie to objects or things, and whatever you lie about, they will believe. You can lie about situations, and whatever you lied about, the universe will believe. Okay? So you have to go and fix these problems. Here's the deal. The game's set up as a heist. It's like it's Ocean's 11, right? So you have to go and plan out a heist. You don't got to worry about the D&D plan where you got to be absolutely perfect because the GM's going to get you. Doesn't matter if the plan's perfect or not. You're going to go lie about everything. So you walk into the room and, some guys do, in your way, you lie to them and they got to go do something else, right? There's an object in your way, you lie to it. There's a situation, you just lie about the situation to the universe, and then the universe goes, yeah, that's what I always thought. There's limitations, obviously. You can't lie about something that you know to be true. So, like, if a car is in front of you, you can't just lie to the universe and say that car isn't there. That wouldn't work, okay? Because you can see the car. If there's a garage, you can lie to the universe and go, hey, since I haven't seen in this garage, there's no car in this garage. When you open up the garage door, there's no car. Some limitations on your abilities, but you're clearing out this one MacGuffin, right? For this whole heist movie that you do, y'all build collaboratively, and the whole time, since you're supposed to be the liar, which is very much in keeping with heist, and it's a time travel thing, right? So we sat down, we played it, and everyone was really into it. It was incredibly silly. It was incredibly fun. So, the MacGuffin causes anomalies within the building it's in, and anomalies without the building, and until you clear it out, you can't go forward. That was the hidden gem for me. Stealing stories from the devil, stealing stories for the devil from Monty Cook Games. It was just, nothing can go wrong in that game.
It sounds incredibly fun and also very, very difficult to GM.
As long as your GM's just sort of like, yes, and keeps going, because it was edge of the seat for the whole time.
See, you said it, yeah.
Go ahead, go.
Yeah, sorry, not to cut you off. You saying about it seems hard for the GM. That sounds like the perfect game for me.
That too.
That sounds like my kind of. All right, what are we doing? Okay. All right. Let's go. I love those kind of games. I love that. Just let me go, please. Don't hold my hands. It's fine. I want to see how crazy they can get. It's okay.
Fair. No, like I like it. Sounds incredibly fun. See, I've tried messing with time travel in games, and that's some difficult shit to do well. Like I'm incredibly what's the gumshoe time one?
Time Watch?
Yes. That looks interesting. Kind of like of course to me it corresponds to the Time Bureau in Loki. Because I just thought Owen Wilson was hysterical in that role. But and also in the one clip, the one screen cap they put up for the header for it on Disney Plus, he also looks incredibly like Alex Trebek. But anyway, there's the one shot of him in the elevator with Loki, I think, and he looks like Alex Trebek.
Now I gotta go find that. Like, oh, Jeopardy continues.
But yeah, no, time is man, it can, and that sounds like you said, it would be really, really fun to play. I'm surprised I missed hearing about that at all, because I actually just got the PDFs for the last thing I backed from Monty Cook, and I haven't had a chance to look at them yet. But it wasn't that. So I don't know, what other kind of like cool stuff did you find out about that just either of personal interest or just, wow, that's a really, really neat game.
So let's go back to one that's been out for a second. For whatever reason, this was the year of this game comes in a box. So Stealing Stories for the Devil comes in a box, and you get a bunch of cards when you play it. You get to play cards at certain points, the cards have abilities and whatnot. It's a lot of fun. The other game that got me was I bought it forever ago and had literally never opened the thing. And I'm like, well, at this point, we're going to the convention. I'll just play it there. If I like it, great and good. If not, oh well. Magpie Games Zombie World. Okay? It's a Powered by the Apocalypse game, but you don't use any dice. Everything's cards. It's just they have cards. The cards are not playing cards, but they're that size. Your character sheet is dry erase. Just fill out the form there. You've got your standard 4 abilities. One's a 3, one's a 2, and one's a 1. That's how many cards you'll draw. And you go through, you build out your zombie apocalypse world, which is basically whatever haven that you've set up. And then you build the relationships between the characters. And then the GM just says, okay, now when the relationships went bad, who wants to get eaten by a zombie? And you'll go from there. I was not sure if it was going to work. It's Powered by the Apocalypse, very simple system, 2d6 plus your stat, which is how it is. And this, switching out to cards, I'm like, is that actually going to add anything, right? And because you had a bunch of different cards, not just the ones that you draw for when you're rolling your stats, but also your present character, like who they are, that's one card you get. You get 2 face-down cards. One of your face-down cards is your trauma. The other face-down cards is your past, right?
Okay.
And then those are things that you can reveal at certain points to get additional abilities. But at the same time, you're required to roleplay through them, right? So whatever your trauma was from the past, because it's been a zombie apocalypse, when you got to work through that. And then the person sitting next to you, you had to build a relationship with their character. Maybe y'all are antagonistic towards each other, maybe not. And then, of course, it's like any zombie thing. You got to either decide to work together, or you're going to be tripping someone and trying to push them into the zombies so you can get away yourself. That game just worked out really well.
That sounds fun. Boy, like I never having gone to a convention of that scale, I don't even 100% know what to ask. Like,
Go ahead.
we have, I was gonna say, we have our local convention that's coming up again here in another month and a half. Holy crap, it's coming fast.
Oh, I know, right?
But I think last year they said they had, I forget, 3,500 through the door total.
It's a nice number. That's a good number.
Combined. But and that was a little bit like, it's just a general gaming convention. A lot of video game, good amount of tabletop, but
yeah, they're trying to sort of blend the worlds of all gaming. It's a really nice balance I think they hit. But yeah, it's wild hearing that. I don't know. For years and years and years, GenCon was always the small convention. Like, it was like, oh, go to GenCon. It's the little one. Okay. Because all of my friends would be like, we're going to, what is it, Origins?
Yeah, Origins.
And they're like, yeah, I don't want to go to Origins. It's the big convention. I'll go to GenCon this year because there's only going to be like 1,000 people there. And then just to hear these astronomical numbers after everything's come back just really gives me a lot of hope in both like the nerd space and the nerd gaming community. And B, it's just really awesome to hear when you're saying stuff like, people selling dice are out of dice, free leagues selling out of books. Like, that's so freaking cool. Like, that is so cool.
Indeed. Other thing that's nice about the convention is that we all have our social media friends, right? We've all got friends that they live in another country that English isn't even the primary language, right? You go to that convention and they're there. You were never going to meet them face to face. You were never going to go to their country.
Exactly.
And yet, you get to walk up, shake their hand, talk with them. It's a lot of fun.
I think that was for us. That was, we went to the Gamer Nation Con that the D20 Network does there in Texas. And you get to meet a lot of the people that, a number of them we've had on the show, or you've listened to their podcasts, you've conversed with them on Discord and such. And like, we met Brett Bowden for the first time. And he goes, see, I really do have legs.
Oh,
Indeed.
But like, yeah, it was and some of it too, like, and I would imagine, maybe, for you, not this, but I know, for me, when I was younger and getting into gaming, you had this image that these creators and the people that made these books were some sort of like, super special, amazing, whatever people. And I don't mean that like it just that like you had this like image of them that like they must live in like these castles and whatever. And then, and it's come down a bit, when you get to talk with them, for us, like on the podcast or whatever. But then, like, Sam Gregor Stewart from Edge Studios was at Gamer Nation Con this year. And, like, he's just a normal dude. Like, very cool. But, like, it just, or other people that you met and you're like, I don't know what I imagined this person looking like. But the person I'm standing here talking to is not the image I had in my head.
Give you a story like that for GenCon, right? So, y'all know Matthew Lillard, the actor, played in Scooby-Doo. He's Shaggy.
Yep.
He runs Beetle and Grimm, him and 4 or 5 of his friends. He's on the convention floor on Saturday at the booth. If you want to see a product or talk, like, it's Matthew Lillard that's going to be helping you. He's super nice individual that way. Not on the convention floor, but, Joe Manganiello was there. Like, he was at the booth with Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. And they're just at the booths. They're just there. They'll sign stuff. They'll, super nice individuals. And, we haven't even gotten into the creators, right? Because there are, of course, the people that, like, they got lines. And definitely Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, when you go past their booth, it's always a line when they're there. Everyone wants to see them. So, yeah, you're right. Like, going to the convention, you get to meet the people. They're nice. They're there. They're approachable. You get to find all the people that made your favorite games, and ask them what's next. And everyone's very personable. What I love about gaming. Since, let me venture this. So, can I give my short guide to... you've never been to Gen Con before, my top recommendations.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would imagine, because it's Thursday to Sunday, but most people, I believe, arrive on Wednesday, right? Because it's hard otherwise. So, number 1, Gen Con will mail you your badge. I definitely recommend doing the mailing. Don't do will call. Okay? It's like $15 or whatever to have your badge mailed to you, plus the tickets for any games you might do. Just do that. Because that will call line is at least an hour of your convention, at least. Once you're there, if you get there Wednesday, just go downtown, park, and walk the convention center. You will know your people because they are there with you, okay? You get a good lay of the land. I don't know if you can get to the Lucas Stadium that night, but if you can, go check it out. It's just amazing to be down on the field of, the football stadium, and you get to look around, check it out, and the whole field is going to be nothing but gamers. Nothing. And then go check out, some of the hotels. The JW Marriott's got a lot of the games, stuff like that. If you walk that Wednesday night, you're going to thank yourself as a first-timer, because it's going to give you sort of a lay of the land. You'll be able to see where you need to pick up stuff. And then if you want to be there on Thursday when they first open up the doors to go into the dealer's room, by all means, knock yourself out. If you wait 30 minutes, it's a lot easier to get in. Go and check that out. Go play. Guys, I may have lost y'all.
No, you're back. You faded out, but you're back.
Okay, good. Like, it froze up on my end. I'm like, oh, I got that boring. Wow.
No, I think you're one of somebody's internet burped.
Indeed. Well, I apologize about that.
No, that's all right.
Thursday, go in, check it out. But Wednesday, get a lay of the land. Thursday, go and do your first stuff. I definitely recommend Dealer's Hall as a Thursday, Friday, and Sunday thing. Saturday in the Dealer's Hall, it's hard to move around. And while you're in the Dealer's Hall, if you see a game that you like, and probably the booth that's selling it is probably the creator of said game, go and talk to them. And definitely say hi and thank them for that game. And the thing I'd recommend is sign up for some games. They got a lot of games there that you're not going to get to play otherwise. And I've played a lot of amazing games. And also just different versions of games. I never got to play the classic version of Deadlands until this convention. I never had a chance to play that original version. And it was amazing because the GM knew all the rules, Oh my God, there were so many.
See, that is one of those ones that's kind of I don't want to call it bucket list, but the OG Deadlands, I kind of would like to experience.
Oh, with the right GM, because it didn't matter what I did. I was like, am I doing this right? It's like, okay, now you take this bucket of D12s, okay? You take and roll them, okay? Take the highest one. It explodes. Okay, keep going, keep going. Okay, you got to 36. That's 5 raises. Okay, now grab your deck of cards. Now cut them. Okay, now what's your high? Okay, so you got 273. 270. Keep that number. I mean, it just kept going to where I'm like, oh, this is great. Because he could walk me through it. If I had to retain it, it'd be terrible.
That sounds like playing Mutants and Masterminds with Alex Thomas.
That would be absolutely awesome to play any Mutants and Masterminds, but with Alex Thomas would also be awesome.
I've had him run that game for me twice now, and I'm completely ruined on it. I tried to play that game. I tried to set up a game where I was running it, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll wait until I see Alex again. I'll make him run it for me.
Yeah, no, if you ever get the chance to play with him, Egg, by all means do it. He is an amazing GM at that system.
He knows that system like it is the back of his hand. It's wild.
There's no point, like, if you said, hey, like, we're playing Mutants and Masterminds, I'm there. I'm going to be terrible at it, but let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a really fantastic system.
Last thing, it is super important to know this. Indianapolis has the downtown area. You're going to need to pull up a map and figure out what restaurants you need to eat at. And if you're from 24-hour-a-day city, be aware that Indianapolis rolls up the sidewalks about 9 o'clock. So if you're from a city that rock and rolls for a while, just have that in mind that when the dealer's room closes or when your last game is coming to an end, you need to already know where you're going to go eat.
There's a spaghetti place real close to there that I've been to that was pretty good. Forget what it's called.
I've walked past it. Say Spaghetti Factory, but I feel I'm going to be wrong.
That sounds like it might be it. I was thinking Spaghetti Warehouse, but I think that's down in Pittsburgh.
Yes. That sounds more right.
Spaghetti place real close there. I was actually in there once when I was out visiting family, so Indeed. That was good.
Yeah, if you go, it's a lot of fun. Stay hydrated and all that. If you're from extremely hot parts of the country, such as I am, when you get to Indianapolis, you're like, oh, man, it's in the upper 80s. Oh, this is heaven. This is so nice. But, for other people, mileage may vary.
We went to Texas in April. It was actually warmer here than it was in Texas.
Wow. Oh, wow.
It was really pleasant in Texas.
Oh, it was beautiful. It was...
it was really pleasant there. I can't wait to go back.
It was, according to one of the locals, you caught the 1 week of spring that we get every year.
I keep saying I want to go back and see Texas in the summer, but not this summer. Not this summer. No.
That is awesome. I'm glad that y'all had a good time. That really, the weather means a lot.
And I mean, that is an entirely different experience, though, because that convention is all about playing games. Like, there's not even really a vendor presence.
I think there's 2 panels.
Yeah, I mean, you could do more, but it was literally just play games, and to boot, if you're into board games, Gamer Nation Con is amazing because they do it at this little. Basically, they rent out this shop for the weekend. It's like a gaming club, effectively.
Nice.
Do you remember what the count was on how many board games they have in the library, Steve? Was it?
I don't remember the exact number.
3,500 or 7?
That sounds about right.
And I'm talking literally everything from chess to Gloomhaven. Literally on the shelf, pull it off, go play it. There was a copy, because we were messing around with it just to see what it was, of the original Mattel or whatever Planet of the Apes board game.
Nice.
Just stuff from modern board gamey stuff to classic stuff to just oddball vintage stuff to Steve and I I've owned Munchkin Panic, the Munchkin version of Castle Panic, for several years. It's still in the shrink wrap. We played it there.
Understand.
It just yeah, but I think that is kind of the neat thing is getting, and it sounds like you got to do that a lot at GenCon is play those games that you've wanted to or just went, oh, that looks interesting and fun. Let's try that.
Absolutely. Getting to play those games that, you want to play, sometimes the only place you're going to be able to do it is at a convention,
Yeah.
Especially with a role-playing game, you got to get all the people that are interested. You get to a convention, you're going to find people that are interested.
That is, yes.
Very true.
It's you know what it is? It's an internet forum in real life.
Amen. Amen.
With
maybe
it's better than an internet
less
forum.
Trollery.
Yeah. I don't want to scare people off from going to conventions.
Okay. I enjoy internet forums.
I've had my fair share of good ones and my fair share of bad ones.
That's fair. I usually just peace out on the bad ones. But,
yeah, fair enough.
So a good internet forum. How's that?
Sometimes you're invested. All
right. Well, unless you have more to say on GenCon, Egg.
I could go on about more stuff, but I know I'm also getting long-winded, so I've hit the high points. How's that?
Well, hey, I mean, it sounds like something that despite my aversion to crowds, I probably should do at least once.
Yeah, we'll make a trip out of it at some point.
I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. If crowds, like, not to disparage GenCon at all, I really love it. If you still want the big convention but don't want the crowds, obviously PAX Unplugged or Origins, either of those. Not as big as GenCon, but still a similar feel. Oddly enough, it's equal distant for me to go to either one of those.
Origins is 3 hours closer.
Mm-hmm.
For us. Well, see, for us, we drive through Columbus to get to Indianapolis.
That explains that.
Columbus is halfway to Indianapolis.
I mean, I enjoy Origins a lot. Highly recommend that one, too. GenCon is a lot of fun.
Well, I suppose we ought to give you a little bit of a chance to talk about all the places people can find all the other stuff you do, because I know it's a really long list.
So let's do this. Keeping with the theme of conventioning, I'll be a guest at Multiverse Convention in Atlanta, October 20th to the 22nd, where I hope to run a lot of games. And I will also be attending, though not as a guest, DragonCon in Atlanta as well, August 31st to September 4th. I will not be there all 5 of those days because Atlanta at that time of the year is my god hot. Out and beyond that, I write for Ian World, ianworld.org. I'm one of the columnists, and my focus is generally crowdfunding for role-playing games. I do interviews, and I do a weekly column where I talk about some of the games that are coming up that I think are very neat. And I write for Knights of the Dinner Table, the print magazine from Kinzer & Company, where I do reviews of some games. Every once in a while, I write for Geek Native. I used to write for D20 Radio. And I'll write for anyone else in terms of RPG journalism that would have me.
Cool. Just out of curiosity, how has done anything more with Human Almost? I know the last time we talked, you sent us some copies of that.
That is okay.
I haven't actually gotten to use mine yet, but I have a huge stack of games that I haven't gotten to use yet. So you're in good company.
That is all I asked for. That's all I asked for. I need to do an update for it. I have not. Put out another game that I believe y'all covered, and I thank you very much for all the coverage of the games. I greatly appreciate that. But I put out another game called Off Face, which is my Face Off tribute. And I'm working on other games behind the scenes, but I don't get them done as quickly as I'd like. I have excuses, but none of them are great. Like, if it weren't for day jobs.
I think we both understand that exact sentiment.
Indeed. I thought the choice of me deciding what I get for dinner was going to be a winner.
Right?
Really? This adult thing is not what it was all cracked up to be when we were growing up.
It wasn't.
Half the time it's like, oh, I got to eat dinner. I don't know what I want.
It's coming to the agreement. I'm like, so where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Restaurant? Probably.
Typically a good first choice.
Adulting, it is fun.
It is, isn't it?
Though?
It is. Speaking of adulting, it's time for Game of the Week.
Woohoo! Game of the week.
Game of the week. Game of the week.
All right. So you've played this before with us, but although this, I will say, being as it's your third time back on the show, you have now officially, whether you like it or not, become an honorary Steve. So this is your first time playing Game of the Week as a Steve.
There you go. There you go.
So who would like to go first?
I can go first. I have something really simple, straightforward, and to the point.
Okay.
So I really like the basic role-playing system that Call of Cthulhu runs on.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a scenario for Call of Cthulhu. It's not necessarily a full game, but it's a scenario for it.
Mm-hmm.
A couple things caught my eye. First off, it's called Signal to Noise, and it's a 1980s analog horror scenario. The first thing that caught my eye is it's set in Summit Heights, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I don't know where Summit Heights, Pennsylvania is, but I'm pretty sure that there probably isn't a Summit Heights, Pennsylvania, but you can insert anywhere you want to be. You experience a series of bizarre broadcast and intrusions on the local television station. And between the strange, haunting nature of these pirate broadcasts and a recent string of disappearances, the town's on a knife's edge. And station manager assembles a team of investigators to hunt down these signals and put a stop to them. And this sounds like the perfect thing for Call of Cthulhu. This sounds amazing. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to get this on a table. It's $7.49, currently on sale, which probably won't be on sale by the time you hear this.
You got a link for this, Steve?
Yeah.
I'm having trouble calling it up for some reason.
Click, click, click. It's in the green room.
Okay. I was getting a different signal to noise, and that's what was confusing me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this looks really fun, looks really cool, and I gotta get my hands on this, because I needed a scenario to run in Call of Cthulhu, and this looks great.
Well, this is also up your alley.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I have no shame about that. Yeah, it is up my alley. Oh.
That does look...
But yeah, that's Signal to Noise. That looks really cool. By Colin Richards.
Cool. All right. Steve Embry, would you like to go next, or would you like me to?
So, oddly enough, one of my uncles, not uncles, one of the cousins is named Steve Embry. But yeah, let's go ahead and do this. Let me see if I can do this right. So, if when you're redoing this, if you'll just lead in with a banjo right here, right?
Okay, Steve, you'll have to stick the mic out the window.
Yeah. Hold on.
So, I'm gonna go.
We'll see if the natives or the West Virginians are up for it.
I'm going to go with the game I did not get to play, but I really wanted to at the convention. Give this a shot. Oh, God's Appalachia. Role-playing game. Okay.
I haven't looked at it yet. That's the one that I just got the PDFs for.
I want it. I want it so bad.
Let me set this up for you. If you have ever heard the podcast.
Couple episodes.
He goes into some details. When you come to a crossroads, family, you have to decide what you're going to do. And there's no greater crossroads in these United States than Indianapolis, Indiana. And there, within their convention center, is one room that they have dedicated to Monty Cook games. And within that room, you might play those games, family, but more so, you might buy those games. They have it set up so that you can not only sling some dice and see what would happen if you were in the woods in a dark place with some unknown creature, or might just give them your credit card and say, hey, I'll take a copy of that. So
take two. They're small. I'll take two.
That game, I was not sure if I was going to be super into it or not, right? I don't always, I had heard podcasts a little bit, but I don't always respond well to that voice being from the South, right? I have as much Southern accent as I generally hear among my brethren. And when someone has a deep, folksy Southern accent going, I always worry, am I being made fun of? I got into it. I checked out the podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm digging this more and more. And then, I hadn't gotten the game. They sent me a review copy, which I've got to get the review done. They sent me a copy. I got to get it done. But I'm at the convention center, right? And I'm like, oh man, I should really play this. Well, they have it set up to where they got it just sitting out, right? And it's such a nice display of it, and you get to thumb through it. They got all the books. It's obviously it's dark horror. It's basically, since we're talking about Call of Cthulhu earlier, it's that feel, But something about it speaks to me, and it's high on my list. It uses the cipher system, same as Numenera and some of the other games. And what I've seen of it so far, it looks like it uses it very well. And it's Monty Cook, so he never slacks on any production. So over there, they had a player's guide, they had the core rule book, he had coins. They had it to where they gave you a little $5, company town script, very, very apropos for the Appalachia setting. And you got that little $5 script, and you got to get a discount on one of his games. But you're like, I would kind of like to keep this little piece of paper that's the script. He's like, no problem, punches a hole in it and gives it back to you. So it was a good experience, and that is high on my list.
Yeah, I got my backer PDFs this week. Actually, I had gotten the email about them, and I got the email on my phone. I'm like, I don't want to download them on my phone. I'll wait till I'm where I can put them on a computer. And so I flagged the email, and then I forgot about it for like a week.
Oh
no! Doing something, I'm like, oh wait a minute, I need to go check this. I look, and then I had to send them a couple more dollars for some shipping because I backed it on Kickstarter.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm eagerly awaiting getting the print copies, because I've heard nothing but amazing things about everything printed that Monty Cook does. So, and I think, like you said, there's the setting, and I think some of it is I like kind of that dark, twisted, cosmic kind of horror thing a lot. And then you add in that, I grew up, still kind of live in, but I grew up in kind of the upper reaches of the Appalachians, still do, both Steve and I live in what's still considered the Appalachian area. And you may too. I don't know exactly where you're at in Georgia, but I know that's where it starts.
Just like in the foothills, just outside, like one county over.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like the images and stuff are just like, oh wow. Like you said, the podcast, what I've listened to it is amazing. I bought it like going, I don't know anything about Cipher System, but I want the setting and information whether I like the system or not.
I played Cipher. It's a lot of fun. This, I think, is actually going to, like, this setting, I feel, is going to be a better iteration of the game, in my opinion, than some of the others, because the horror element's going to work really well. The way you create characters with Cipher, it's going to come together very nicely.
That's very good to hear. All right. Well, is that yours, Egg?
Yes.
All right. Well, I have one here, and I kind of pulled a page from other Steve's book and went looking for kind of little, simple, cheap games. Which
I have
Steve
a
is
million of these.
Very fond
I have
of.
a million of these.
So I found a game system. It's called Deep Space.
I have that one.
A simple space adventure TTRPG. All of 4 pages. And it looks to be just a pretty simple, very rules light, very creative heavy space exploring game. And it says all you need is paper, pencils, and a D12 or 2. So you've got me, okay? I don't need much. I get to play with D12s. We're great. And apparently the creators are British, because they're calling it a quid game, because price on drive-through for the PDF is $1.27, but they're saying it costs a British pound. So there you go. And the other thing that's really cool about this is they have a ton of supplements out for it that are all $1.27 or $1, or, like just dirt cheap, like adventures or little supplements or whatever. And we've in one of our play groups been playing a few of these little, light 1-page things, these little 200-word RPG challenge. We played one that was called Heavy Metal Wizard Sorcerers, which was incredibly fun for being just a handful of words on a page. We had so much fun with that game. So I think sometimes, those of us like we go, well, how could you have the rules for a game in that? Screw having the rules. Just get a feel and go have fun and let yourself do it. And you really can have so much fun with these because they lean heavy into the spirit of what they want you to do and don't make you worry about how you do it. You just do. So yeah, that's, like I said, I'm going to shout out Deep Space. Yeah, there's supplements and adventures and all kind of stuff, and it's all real cheap. You said you actually have this, Steve?
I do. I picked it up a long time ago. I was just looking at it the other day. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really, really cool.
But yeah, like I said, I mean, having played with some really simple light stuff recently and just realized how much fun it is if you just kind of let your creativity go and don't worry about a system. It can be a hell of a lot of fun.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. Anything else you would like to shout out, Mr. Embry?
Because I spoke with him today, Alan Barr, Gallant Night Games. He sent me a PDF of an upcoming game he has. He's got another project that I'm about to do an interview with him on, so let me shout him out. Like, I saw him at the convention, super nice guy, as always, and he's got a million good games, Tiny D6 being one of the things he's better known for. And keep an eye on what's coming next for him. He's got some cool projects coming up.
Cool.
Awesome. And with all that being said, as always, links to everything are in the show notes. Facebook, Discord, Twitter, Patreon. We have a brand new Patreon episode out, so if you want to go check that out, join our Patreon and you'll get that episode. And all the links and details are in the doobly-doo. As always, we want to thank everyone for listening and remind you to be kind to one another and get out there and play some RPGs.
Yep. Take care, y'all.
Intro and outro music by the band 12 Noon. You can email us at meandsteverpg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter and RPGs. Find us on Facebook at Me and Steve RPG Podcast, on Discord at Me and Steve RPGs, and as always, all of these links are in the show notes. Thank you, and be kind to one another.
How much for the cigar?
Cigar, $20, dog. You gotta go down the street to the store and buy that.
Baldur's Gate doesn't count.
It can only count to 3.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt the ending here, but y'all saw the thing in one of the news sites. Cyberpunk Edge Runners anime. Okay, that dropped, right? And then one of the news sites ran an article about how to run Cyberpunk Edge Runner as a 5e game. Okay. And of course, the internet lost its mind. This was months and months ago, right? So someone answered that and said, hey, so I'm playing Cyberpunk, and I like Baldur's Gate. I'm going to take it to a conversion, so there's a dedicated game for Baldur's Gate.
Somebody posted that in our Discord already, actually.
Oh, that's hilarious. I missed that.
Yeah, like a Reddit post or something, which... And see, I tend to take things very literally, and so my first thought was, well, I mean, mechanically, if you want to stay, there is The Witcher. It's a bit more brutal than D&D, but
Indeed.
No.